Hello to everyone that's joining us. Welcome to the live Q&A for the 2024 Open Day. I am Dr. Bradley Greenhalgh. I am the Legal Education and Student Coordinator at the Faculty of Law at Stellenbosch University. So thank you for being with us here this evening. I'm joined by my colleague on my left.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Karen Viss. I'm the Faculty Manager of the Faculty of Law. It's very nice to see everyone here, and I hope that we will receive a lot of questions this evening.
Yes, so on that note, I sometimes have to look off here to the right, because on this screen we have messages from that have been received via WhatsApp. So we're going to start working through all of these over the course of the next half an hour. So please do send in any queries that you might have in the event that something pops up, and we'll try and address those as best we can during the course of your time with us here. And one of the first questions that we've received has got a whole series of questions within them. And one of the points raised was, do you look at your grade 12 marks for the purposes of the course? So in other words, when you join us, when you apply, are grade 12 marks also important? And the simple answer to this is yes. Karen, I don't know if you want to explain the intricacies of that process?
Yeah, so when you apply, if you're currently in grade 12, you will apply with your final grade 11 results and, of course, the national benchmark test results. And if you then receive an admission, that is a provisional admission, which means that we will still look at your grade 12 results where you have to meet the minimum admission requirements. So just to be clear, if you have a provisional admission, you just need to meet the minimum requirements for the program to be finally admitted to the program. So I think that explains it, hopefully.
Thank you. So, yes, we've seen some people are already starting to type. One of the other questions that was posed here is, when will the law department start sending out, or the law faculty for that matter, start sending out offers to our students?
So we will start sending out offers towards the end of August or early in September. So we will wait for the final national benchmark tests results to come in. Those national benchmark tests, maybe if I can elaborate on that, all law applicants have to write the national benchmark test before the 30th of July. If you're applying for the LLB or the BA law program, you have to write the AQL, that's the academic and quantitative literacy. If you're applying for BCom law or BAC LLB, you have to write the academic and quantitative literacy test as well as the maths test before the 30th of July. So we will wait for those final results to come in. We will start selection towards the end of August, and we will inform you roundabouts middle September latest.
And here was a question that's just been sent in. If I don't meet the minimum requirement, can I try with my final mark at the end of the year? So
if you don't currently meet the minimum admission requirements, so your grade 11 results are not at the required level, you will automatically receive a not qualified or not admitted reply from us. You can still apply for the program, but like I said, so you will not be admitted, and then you can then ask to be placed on the waiting list, where we will only consider you if we have space at the beginning of the academic year, and then of course based on your grade 12 results. So it's not ideal, and if you're in that position, we do encourage you to apply for other programs where you do meet the minimum admission requirements as well. So that's quite important.
And then a question here regarding the actual process around the NBTs, whether or not you have to wait for the results before you actually send in your application to the university, or do you apply without your NBT results? And then also, do your results get sent to the university automatically?
Yeah, so you apply now. I think that's the best time to apply is right now. Your application has to be in by the latest on the 30th of July, but you do not need to have your NBT results ready when you apply. The NBT results are sent to us by the NBT officers directly, but I do encourage you to also, in any event, once you receive them, to send them to info@sun.ac.za together with your application number, so just to make sure that it's there. But we should receive them automatically from the NBT office.
And then we have a question here from someone who wants to know whether or not their application is under consideration or not. So maybe just talk basically about the process involving the time period that we consider the applications?
Yeah, so we currently, obviously, applications opened on the 1st of April. We're currently receiving applications. Last year, just to give you an idea, we received about 13,000 applications for the LLB program, about 3,000 for the BA Law, also 3,000 for the BCom Law, and then around 1,000 for the BAC LLB. So we wait for those applications to come through, and then for that duration of time, your application will be under consideration unless you don't meet the admission requirements. Then, of course, it will say not admitted or not successful. And then only once we do the selection, it will say provisionally selected or then not selected or waitlisted. So we might waitlist you just to see where you would fall once people start accepting offers. So that those results or those, like I said, will be at the beginning of September. But under consideration will remain next to your name for the duration that we wait for applications to come in.
And then a query received just about where do I actually get information? How do I apply for the NBT test? So I think, as has already been stated, you'd go along to www.nbt.ac.za. That is the website, the national website for the NBT tests, and you will find all the available information on that website, including how you can apply for the test, the dates, the venues. If I'm not mistaken, they also have online options at this point in time. So if you are in a part of the country or elsewhere where you are not necessarily close to an actual physical testing venue, there are also possibilities around doing the tests online. And then just returning to one of the queries that were asked a little bit earlier, the one question was, do the BCom law students start earlier than the rest? And this, I think, maybe just ties in a little bit with what might have been heard with regards to the law faculty's welcoming program. And what I can say about that is we take the welcoming period incredibly seriously. We are the only faculty at Stellenbosch University that actually requests that our students start the welcoming program a little bit earlier than what the other faculties do. It's not much, but it does make a big difference. So if I can maybe just quickly walk backwards from when classes typically start, they will be on a Monday, typically around about the beginning or mid-February, depending on when the grade 12 results are released. And then there's a week prior to when the classes start, that Monday, so the week before. That's also usually welcoming and an opportunity to register and the like. And the week before that, the Thursday, is when most of the other students will be arriving on campus. If they're in residence, they might arrive a little bit earlier. But it's the Thursday before classes start. Now, the law faculty, we have the whole Wednesday immediately prior to that Thursday, where we have all of our first years, as many as are available, and we do ask all of you to try as much as you can to attend that welcoming. We have a whole day Wednesday session with our law students, and immediately prior to that on the Tuesday, those who are in residence, university residences, they can already start moving in. And then that Tuesday evening we meet the parents and the first years and the dean and some of the key staff members. Now, this welcoming, that session on the Wednesday, is an opportunity for our law students, our first year law students, to get to know one another and to start building up networks and meeting your fellow law students. And we start walking you through what we expect of law students and what you can expect of the program going forward. And then we have a very structured welcoming program that follows from that period on. And just to emphasize that this is for all of our law students in all of the different programs. So the BA Law, the 4-year LLB, the BCom Law, and even the BAC LLB, we try and get as many of you at that welcoming, because we explain what you can expect. We give you program-specific information. We make you aware of the various support mechanisms. You get to meet key staff members as well as the various student representative bodies. And we try and make it interesting and have various activities where you can then also have an opportunity to get to know the students who are going to be walking this journey with you over the course of the next 4 or 5 years. Do you want to add anything to the welcoming or about the welcoming?
I think you basically have covered it. I've received, in the meantime, 2 more questions here. So the one question is, I made a mistake on my application and I would like to make some amendments. How do I go about doing that? So the easiest would be to write an email to info@sun.ac.za with your application number and just tell the colleagues there at the Client Services Center what you would need to have amended. So if you need to make a program amendment, you can ask them to please make the program amendment on your behalf. And then the other question relates again to the national benchmark test. The question relates to, can I change the date? I had a date in August. Yes, you must please try and change the date. You need to write the benchmark test before the 30th of July. Otherwise, we will not get those results in time for our selection. In terms of the selection for the program, so we use the benchmark test results in a 20/80 ratio with your school results. So those results are quite important for us. And if you have not written the benchmark test in time, it would basically mean that you would get a 0 for the benchmark test result, and that of course will influence your placement on the selection list. So it's quite important that you write that in time.
Very briefly then, a question around the admission process and how it works if you are a Cambridge, in the Cambridge system, schooling system. The short answer to that is, when you are making your application, those marks and some of the other assessment programs, schooling assessment programs that are not the National Senior Certificate, they get deferred through to the Stellenbosch University's international office. They do the conversion. They've got an approach that they follow there. They do the conversion to get it back to a mark that is synonymous with what we would be looking for in terms of the NSC, and then those results are sent through to the faculties. So that process is dealt with on this side. You apply based on whatever marks you have available. You don't need to concern yourself with those conversions. So
we've got an interesting question here relating to the BA Law program, and I think it would be good if we just focus on the various routes that you can follow if you want to study law. So of course we've got the 4-year LLB program, we've got a BA Law program, which is a 3-year program, then we've got a 3-year BCom Law, and then we've got the 5-year BAc LLB program. After the 3-year BA Law and the 3-year BCom Law, you can do a 2-year LLB. So that means that in your 3-year BA Law or BCom Law, you're already doing law modules, and those would essentially cover the law modules that we would teach in the first 2 years of the 4-year LLB program. So they're contained within the BA Law and the BCom Law. And then if you choose after the BA Law or BCom Law to complete the LLB, that is another 2-year program, so 5 years in total. The BAc LLB program, of course, it's a 5-year program combining the Bachelor of Accounting and the Bachelor of Law. So it's a very unique program. We're the only university that offers that degree program, and it's a very good degree where students ultimately can choose whether they would like to follow the route of chartered accounting or forensic auditing, or then potentially a career in law. I suppose what's important is that all the law modules that are taught and all the degrees are the same. So there are no different law modules taught in one of those programs compared to another. So do you want to maybe add something to that?
Yeah, I think when we had the in-person open day sessions, we had some queries regarding the various departments that function within the law faculty. Because at different faculties, I can think of, for instance, engineering, a chemical engineering department, you are studying different programs under that department as opposed to mechanical or an electrical engineering department. And so the question was, do I need to study in private law or public law or mercantile law, which are the 3 departments within the faculty? And I can just add to what Mrs. Viss has just said. No, so those are processes or administrative functions within the faculty, but the bottom line is, as has been indicated, regardless of the program that you enroll in, you will be sitting in the same law modules as students from all of the different law programs. The departments don't matter, it's just who offers some of the modules within the law program. You, as a LLB student, will be taking your core law modules and sitting in those modules with students who are taking BAc LLB or BA Law or BCom Law. It's really just the other non-law modules the electives, as we refer to them, that you might have an option to choose from depending on the program that you are enrolled in. And then an earlier question that we also received was about how assessment takes place at university. So questions about whether or not it's only the exams, or whether there are mid-year marks or mid-term or mid-semester marks that are also taken into account. So the first thing that I just have to clarify in that regard is, first of all, different faculties and different departments that are offering different modules might have different approaches towards the assessment practice within a particular module. That information is regulated by a university-wide central assessment approach, but there is still a discretion that is allowed to the different lecturers in the different modules at faculty level or at departmental level in terms of how the modules are assessed, or their respective modules are assessed. But the important point is that all of that information will always be communicated and made known to students. We have what is typically referred to as a course framework or a course outline, which is a document that is compiled by your lecturer, which explains everything that you possibly need to know with regards to your individual modules. We also have something that's called SunLearn, which is a learning management system. Now, depending on where you went to school, many of you might be familiar with something like Google Classroom or equivalents of that. And essentially, we have an in-house learning management system where all of our registered students will have access to, and all of the modules of their respective law programs will be available on that SunLearn learning management system, along with all the other modules that you might take at a different faculty. And you will then be able to click in there and you will find information. There might be quizzes. This is where your lecturers will upload slides, even recordings, further information, resources that you need to consult, etc., etc. All of that is made available on SunLearn. So you will be able to access all of that information, and we will also explain all of this during the course of the welcoming. So to circle around to that initial question, how are things assessed at university? Well, typically, and again, keep in mind that different modules might follow a different approach. You have assessments that will periodically take place during the course of a term or a semester, depending on whether the module you are taking is a term module or a semester module or a year module. And just to explain that, a year is divided up into 2 semesters, and semesters are divided up into 2 terms each. Now, depending on where you are and which program you're taking, you could have these semester assessments, which could take the form of written tests, and then there would be smaller little assessments, assignments, or maybe larger written assignments, or even group assignments that could then contribute collectively to a mark in that module. And then typically right towards the end, either of the semester, if it's a semester module, or at the end of the year, if it's a year module, you will have what we just refer to as the final assessments. And these are the larger sort of examinations that will then test you on all the work that you were expected to learn and absorb during the course of either that term or that year. So hopefully that clarifies any of those. Have you got any more that have come in on the
so we're receiving quite a lot of questions about the benchmark test. So again, you will apply for the benchmark test on www.nbt.ac.za. That's where you will find all the dates and all the information about the tests. The NBT results will be sent to the university directly, but we do encourage you to also send them to info@sun.ac.za together with your APP number. And then questions about when will I hear about my acceptance or conditional offer. As indicated, we will try to do our selection by early September, so you will receive a response from us by early September. So even if you hold already a grade 12 certificate, those results will be received by early September. The reason for that is we receive a lot of applications for our programs. Just to give you an idea, we only have 120 places for the LLB program, 50 places for the BA Law program, 70 places for the BCom Law, and 30 places for the BA LLB. So we receive a lot more applications than what we have capacity for. So we wait for everybody to have applied, and then we do our selection. Those results should reach you then by early September. So we'll just have a look at the other questions quickly.
So one of them was, do I need to take or complete the maths NBT for the purposes of law? As Mrs. Viss had said earlier, that depends on whether or not you are trying to enroll in either the BCom or the BAC LLB program. Then it will be a requirement. But maybe just to broaden that question ever so slightly, you might be wondering about whether or not you should be compelled to take maths. Have we touched on that yet?
No, not.
So essentially, if you are either taking a BCom or a BAC LLB, BCom Law or BAC LLB, many of your modules are going to be offered through the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences. And this will include modules such as economics, financial accounting, possibly statistics and the like, which do have as a requirement pure maths. So if you are wanting to enroll in those particular programs, yes, you need maths. If, however, you are looking to enroll either in the BA Law or the LLB, the 4-year LLB, then pure maths is not a requirement. But if you do not have maths at school, then you are simply not permitted to take economics or financial accounting as one of your optional extra modules. They are available to you if you have taken mathematics, but if you haven't, then you simply can't choose those two from the list of possible modules. So that's the only implication of not taking maths. If you're studying 4-year LLB or wanting to study the 4-year LLB or the BA Law. And then related to this, we often get questions around maths and whether or not the impact that maths might have on the average mark is something that a school pupil should be concerned about, a prospective student should be concerned about. Corin, do you want to explain that process around what happens with the maths mark?
So in our selection, so when we look at the LLB and the BA Law selection, if you had pure maths in school, only for selection purposes, so not for an adjustment in your average or anything like that, only for selection purposes, we will adjust that maths mark to bring it in line with what students could ordinarily have obtained in the maths lit mark. So we do take cognizance that pure maths is more difficult than maths lit, and we try not to disadvantage those applicants that have persisted with pure maths throughout grade 11 in grade 12. So we do take note of that. Then the interesting question here about, do we offer a double major in law and, for example, psychology? Yes, of course. So if you, for example, enroll for the BA Law, you can do a double major. If you want to have more information on what that double major could be, I encourage you to go look at our yearbook, which you can find under www.sun.ac.za/calendar. So there you will see the options for the BA Law. So you could do, obviously, a language. You have to take a language for all 3 years, but then you could do political science or psychology or antique cultures, for example. Of course, you can also double major in law and a language. So that is an interesting option. And then in the BCom Law, there is a double major opportunity for example, law and economics. So a double major is certainly possible in those 2 degree programs.
So another question that has come in, and we have explained this already, but it is a question that gets asked frequently, so I think it's worth just touching on again. Do you only consider grade 11 results in your application or our application, or can we upload our mid-year grade 12 results after applying? So we will provisionally select you on the basis of your grade 11 results, so those are incredibly important. However, remember, we also look at your grade 12 results if you have been provisionally accepted to ensure that you still meet the minimum requirements. So we aren't going to select you on the basis of mid-year grade 12 results. That is a final check to ensure that you have met the minimum requirements after you have been provisionally selected on the basis of your grade 11 results. Again, a question about what do I do if my NBT date is in August? What can I do if I'm struggling or I can't change it? Unfortunately, you will have to liaise directly with the NBT offices. So go to www.nbt.ac.za, where there will presumably be a contact number or at the very least an email, and see if you can discuss that with them. As was indicated, we need you to have completed your NBTs before the end of July so that we can receive those results. And if for whatever reason you are unable to do that, then unfortunately we cannot take your NBT results into consideration, and that weighting of 20% you will then technically receive a 0 for, and we will only then look at your available school results in terms of the other 80% weighting, which can have a potentially significant impact on how high up you are on the list in terms of applying. So we typically, do you want to deal with the question?
So we've got a question here that says, do we have on-campus open day? Unfortunately, we had one already, so we'll not have another one for this year. But there is still the access to the online open day should still be available, so you can have a look at the online open day where you will find a lot of information from the various faculties. And then, of course, as always, please visit maties.com, that's MATIES.com, where you will find a lot of information on all the programs, minimum admission requirements, links to faculties. So it's a very, very helpful website. Including information around residence placements, bursary and loans, etc. So please visit maties.com for more information.
A general question here about what the acceptance rate is. I think Mrs. Wiss has already explained that we do get a significant number of applications for a very limited number of spaces that are available. So it does vary from cohort to cohort, but I think the numbers last year was in the vicinity of about 13 to 14,000 applications for the 4-year LLB program. Now granted, most of those did not even meet the minimum requirements, but we still looked at about 4,500 roundabout applicants who did meet the minimum requirements, who are now trying to get into a program where we only have place for 120 students. So that should give you an idea. That's now specifically for the 4-year LLB. The other programs, degree programs, have also got a limited number of applications, and we do receive far more applications than what there are places for. We are also frequently asked, typically at the walk-in open days, what is that magic number? If my average is over this threshold, how likely am I to get in? We always try to avoid answering that question, firstly because it's very difficult to answer that, because it does vary slightly from year to year depending on the applicants and the size of the cohort and what has potentially happened in grade 11 or sometimes in grade 12. So the only answer that we can really say is that we need to emphasize the minimum requirements are the minimum. You need to try and do as well as you can. And hopefully you have already done as well as you can in terms of your grade 11 results in order to be guaranteed of a place.
Yeah, so then there's another question here. How do I become an attorney? So, of course, to become a legal practitioner in South Africa, you have to have an LLB degree. So there are, as we discussed, various routes for the LLB degree that you can take. So you can either take the 4-year LLB degree, or you can do the BA Law or BCom Law plus LLB, or the BAC LLB degree, or then we also have a 3-year LLB degree which can be done after any other bachelor degree. So you have to have an LLB degree as a first requirement, then you will do 2 years of practical vocational training with a law firm. Then you have to write the attorney's admission exams or legal practitioner admission examinations. You have to be a fit and proper person, and we will teach you all about that. And then, of course, you also have to be a South African citizen or permanent resident before you can be admitted as an attorney in South Africa or a legal practitioner in South Africa. So those would be the requirements. If you want to read more about that, please go and use Google and look at the Legal Practice Act that gives you all the information on how to become a legal practitioner in South Africa.
So we're probably about to wrap up. I think we've got about 2 minutes left. So just to conclude, the university, the Stellenbosch University, is generally speaking very good in terms of making necessary information available on their websites. We've already mentioned www.maties.com. And you will use that as the starting point to find all sorts of information that any prospective student needs to know about, including what the expected costs, for instance, would be of your various degree programs, accommodation and the like. And from that marties.com website, you will also be able to find the specific Open Day YouTube channel, where there's a lot of videos where we provide specific information about different aspects of what is on offer at the law faculty. Lastly, Stellenbosch University's website, if you are at all uncertain, because there are sometimes websites out there that also provide information, but they are potentially outdated or just problematic in the first place. If the website's URL, so its address line is sun for Stellenbosch University.ac.za, if that is up there in the URL, then you know that you are looking at an official university website, which is always very important to keep in mind in this day and age. Corinne, any concluding comments or things from your side?
I wish all of you well for the grade 12 exams. I hope it goes absolutely fantastically. Prepare well and you can do it. And then we hope to see some of you next year at Stellenbosch University studying law. So that's it from me, and I wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much for joining us. All the best for your grade 12 exams. Put your head down, work hard, have a bit of fun in your final year as well. But yes, all the best, fingers crossed, and we hope to see many of you soon walking around our campus next year. Thank you.